Okay, so as you just heard from my conversation with Melissa, there is so much heritage here throughout Bradley County. We're going to begin our tour for you this morning, actually in Charleston. We're coming to you from the Hiwassee River Heritage Center, and you can't come through these doors and not have a conversation with Darlene Goins. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Julie.
And thank you for welcoming us in.
Oh, we're so glad to have you today.
It is a beautiful center, kind of a new one for you, really, like so much that has a good planning behind it. You've done this in stages.
Yes.
But where we are now is the newest part of your expansion, and you've got a total history here.
We do. We start with Mississippian period, with the Native Americans from the Mississippian period. We move into the Cherokee and the Trail of Tears, which is our main focus of our exhibit hall.
Well, it's for good reason that the Trail of Tears would be a good part of your focus, because there is so much Native American history here. I'm going to let you kind of guide the conversation, because I almost don't know where to start. But truly, where we are could have been forgotten history were it not for your local effort.
Oh, it definitely could have. I grew up here and knew a little bit of the history, but until we formed our historical society and really started looking at some of the research and all that had been done, I had no idea how significant the history here at Charleston was.
Okay, so where we are standing now at the Hiwassee River Heritage Center, if you were to leave the building and go out in the back, there's actually a trail. Right?
We do. We have an interpretive trail out back, and it talks about the struggle between the military and the Cherokee, and how the military were trying to get the removal and get them out, and the Cherokee, how they wanted to stay, and some of the missionaries at the time, and the different struggles between those two.
It's hard to fully grasp, honestly, for me, because like so much of history, there are all these intricate layers.
Yes.
So if I'm going to set the story up incorrectly, you feel free to set me right. But this is called Fort Cass, right?
Yes.
But before that, it was called Walker's Landing?
Walker's Ferry.
Walker's Ferry.
This was originally in Cherokee Nation. After the 1819 treaty, the boundary line was the Hiwassee River. So if you were standing here, you were in Cherokee Nation, and there was a community here called Walker's Ferry.
Okay.
So the ferry would have taken you from Cherokee Nation across the river to the United States of America.
Okay, we're going to pause there a second, because another part of Bradley County, many of you probably know it quite well, is Red Clay State Park.
Yes.
And that's almost sacred ground, really, in the Cherokee tradition.
Yes. Red Clay was actually the last capital. Of course, you know, they were in Georgia before. Georgia ran them out, so they came across the state line and set up their capital where Red Clay is now.
And they had that beautiful pool there.
The Blue Hole.
And they believe they had a real strong connection spiritually to that water,
Yes.
didn't they?
Yes. And actually still do. We have Cherokee youth bicycle riders that come through every year, and that's one of their favorite stops, is to stop at the Blue Hole.
So sadly, we all know kind of how the story ended, and it was not in any way a happy ending. So Walker's Ferry changed names to Fort Cass.
Walker's Ferry became, the agency first moved in right after the 1819 treaty, and then Fort Cass moved in. Fort Cass was the military operational headquarters for the entire removal. There were 3 immigration depots: Fort Cass, Ross's Landing, and Gunnersville, Alabama. And General Winfield Scott was stationed here, and he was in charge of the entire removal.
Well, I tell you, for me, I think the older I get, the more I realize, and this timing is very appropriate, how what we learned in school was a great starting point, but you can't learn everything as a 4th and 5th grader in school. So as we become more attuned to the Native American history in this country, what an opportune time for folks to come and visit your Heritage Center.
Yes. Yes, and you know, the thing that we have found out, we've had quite a few Cherokee who have come back to visit us since we have opened. I've had Oklahoma visitors, I've had people from several different states, but we work a lot with both the Eastern Band and Cherokee Nation, because when we started this, we wanted to make sure that we were telling the story appropriately, and we wanted to make sure that they agreed with the part that we were telling. So everything that we have done has been vetted by Cherokee Nation and by someone from Cherokee Nation or from Eastern Band.
Is it a source of pride for those of you who are native to Bradley County to have this as part of your heritage?
Oh, absolutely. And I get people in a lot from the area that they say, oh, I'm just so glad we finally have something that talks about the history of the area.
So who's able to come in and access it? Here we are in this COVID world. Are you open for tours?
We are open for tours. If we have groups, I would prefer that they call ahead, and I'm working with a homeschool group right now that plans to come in sometime in November. But we do have to plan those, and we do limit the number of people that we have in the exhibit room at one time.
Well, I will tell you from my own vantage point, one of the things that I so find value in is that it's very filled with all the information that you need, but it's not overwhelming. So you don't feel lost in the space. And the fact that you're right around the corner
Right.
to tell a little of the history while people also read the history, I think is a great opportunity for people.
Yes, and we also have a small research library, so if people want to do research, they can come in and do that as well.
Thank you so much for letting us head your way this morning.
Thank you for coming.
And the best part of all is that our tour of Bradley County is just getting started. We're going to keep with the heritage theme, and when we come back, you're watching a very special edition of 3+U is spending our day in Bradley County. We're back after this.
You're